Welcome to Full Throttle Session 1. Let's go ahead and get airborne. Good day in the market. We are set up. My daughter's sitting here doing her homework. Hey, folks, real quick. Somebody had asked earlier in the earlier session if you want here you can get a signed copy of my book because somebody asked about San Francisco. I'm actually might be meeting one of our Commanding Officers Club clients. He lives out in the Bay Area, San Mateo. So I might actually be able to meet in person out on the left coast, out in San Fran this weekend when I go out to give the keynote. The client is Commercial Energy. It's their 20th anniversary, and they rented a huge boat called the Fumé Blanc, and I'm going to go out there and give a keynote, and then going to sign some books, and then watch a Blue Angel. So if you want a signed copy of my book, all the lifetime members obviously get it for free. But if what is it, like $35, and that covers the book and shipping. So go ahead and go to go.topgunoptions.com/book. And then we'll talk about other stuff as well here. Okay, we do so the full throttle sessions. There'll be 8 of them. We're ditching the Options House platform demo, obviously. So I already changed the flight schedule. Options House is no more. It was a great brokerage firm while it lasted, and now it sucks. It's E-Trade has literally just destroyed it. They're awful. I've talked to the heavies at E-Trade. I've told them this, and I might be heading over to Thinkorswim, and they might be losing some business. So we'll see how that ends up going. So I forget what else I put in there. I think I added this session, which is a lot of intel gathering, the trade plan. I want to talk about risk management. I'll definitely be talking about this at Lake Tahoe in person, because it's kind of an in-person risk management thing. Does everybody look over in the right hand chat over here where it says materials? Did you guys, there should be a risk management PDF in there, and also the trade plan one pager, which I think everybody has. But everybody make sure you download the risk management PDF, because I want to talk about that tonight. Everybody see what I'm talking about? Vertical head nod? Yes, no, maybe. Smart remarks. Everybody see it? No. There should be over on the right with this little control panel, folks. Let me see if I can. Andreas sees it. Armin and Ray don't. I see it, so you should see it. Over on the right, it says materials, like where the little control panel is for me. Larry sees it. Okay, so it's there, guys. I got 2 no's and 2 yeses. I'm going to go with the yeses because I'm the tiebreaker and I see it. So everybody got it? We're going to talk about that tonight, because risk management, this is usually, like I said, I did this in Miami, and a lot of the Miami attendees got a lot out of it. They're like, holy crap, could you cover that? Or they were glad that I covered that in person Miami. I'm going to try and cover it tonight, but like I said, it's a lot more, because I can walk around in the room in Miami or out in Tahoe and talk you through it. But we're going to try and knock that out tonight. Remember, folks, so let me start with let's start with our intel gathering. Now, all the sites I'm going to tell you, I either know the people or don't know the people. It doesn't matter, right? It's not like I get paid or whatever with any of this stuff. Some sites that you have to use going forward to help build situational don't click on this link, folks. Vegas shooter filmed himself during the slaughter. They have a picture of the dude's head blown off, the Vegas guy. So don't, if you don't like gory pictures, don't click on the top link here. So intel sources. Here are some of the places that I develop my intel. First of all, some of it's proprietary, right? I'm on the phone, on Skype, on text. A lot of people up in Wall Street, in New York, Chicago, London, and then obviously on the military side and political side, I have a buddy who's a loop. You ever see, guys in military uniforms? They have like a loop over their shoulder. That's why we call them loops. They're like congressional aides or senatorial aides, or one of my buddies. Ray, I don't have a link to the risk management. It's in the materials, folks. It's sitting in there. I see it, so you can click on it and download. I can try and figure out a way to do it, but everybody should. It says materials, and it's got a little 2 in parentheses, because there's 2 things I uploaded that are sitting in there. So if you just can't do it, I'll try and figure out to get a to post it online, but this is why we have them. You can upload materials, so you can do it in here. So, folks, so a lot of what you're going to get here at TGO is proprietary, meaning, I obviously I'm a good New York Times reporter because I'm not going to name my sources, whether it's trading sources or military sources or political. Just know that you're getting pretty good coverage. The clients that I speak to, around the United States or around the globe, if they are letting me tell you who they are, I do. If they don't, I don't. And obviously, as a fiduciary to these companies, I don't. I just did an hour-long pre-call for my keynote this weekend. Not going to tell you what's going on with this client, but it gave me a hell of a lot of situational awareness into the electrical and political environment and the energy environment in California. Didn't know any of it. Before I do a keynote, I send like a 20-page briefing document. Who are your threats? Or what are your threats? Who are your competitors? Do you contingency plan? What's your mission objective? So they send me back an answer key. So a lot of the trade ideas, the situational awareness that I get is proprietary to me. I was talking to my PR firm today, and they're like, we've never represented somebody with kind of these jack of all trade skills. Not that I'm God's gift to anything. I'm just telling you that there aren't too many. Exactly, Brian, can't with the non-disclosures. Plus, it's nobody's business if they're my client. But here's where a lot of situational awareness comes from, folks. You have to write this down. Zero Hedge. This used to be a kind of trader-only site, and then the government kind of saw the type of intel that would be put on the site and said, "Hey, you need to kind of open this up to the public." This used to be what was said at the trader bars in Chicago and New York, and hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? That's all on here. So it's great. There is great information on here. It's an aggregator of good stuff. I'm going to give you so this is a TIE fighter, to use a Star Wars analogy. The next site I'm going to give you is the Death Star. That's got everything you could possibly want financially. Okay, so Zero Hedge, learn it, live it, love it. You know what? Let me cover the journal real quick as well. If you do not subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, you are foolish. Period. Again, I don't pay. When I got on the train every day in good old Naperville, Illinois, we called it Napertucky, out in the suburbs, and I took the 32-minute express train into the Union Station and then walked to the Board of Trade. Just about everybody on that train had their face buried in the Wall Street Journal. And this was, as BlackBerries just started to come out. And, oh my gosh, you can get the Wall Street Journal on here. So this is and if you read the New York Times, it's hard to believe you're a member here. But the New York Times is I wouldn't use it to put a dead fish, to signify that Luca Brasi is sleeping with the fishes. The Wall Street Journal is the paper of record for traders and New York, Wall Street, and London, period. The market section, the tech section, if it is in the journal, it will move markets. How many was it? Two? I shared this with the TGO core class a couple years ago. Front page article in the Wall Street Journal about, hey, there's been some unusual buying and selling out of executives at these 8 companies randomly before a huge event is announced, either good or bad. I think all 8 CEOs ended up in jail or plea bargains. So what's his name? The Fed whisperer. Hilsenrath, the one reporter, Hilsenrath, he seems to know 1, 2, 3 days before Janet Yellen or Ben Bernanke would speak and write an article and say exactly what they were going to say. Some people think they do it on purpose to kind of, insulate the market. I don't know. I just know for a fact that when you read a John Hilsenrath article in here about the Fed, it's coming from the Fed. I don't even know how much, I don't know, the online version, $50 a year, whatever it is, you have to do it. Period. Now, of course, I read it for the opinion page, of course, but this is the paper of record. I believe you also get online access to Barron's. Barron's is the weekend. It's kind of a half magazine, right? It's a paper magazine, but half a newspaper. I still get the print journal version of the journal because I like reading a newspaper every once in a while, unless it's too windy at the beach. But I think you get access to Barron's and you get the online Wall Street Journal. I can't say it enough. This is the paper of record. They do great with emerging markets. Just everything is in here, and it's It's Wall Street. It's hence the term Wall Street Journal. Okay. Um, as far as events, I like the calendar here on Forex Factory. Write this one down: forexfactory.com. Okay, forexfactory.com. And then when you get to this site, click on calendar. Okay. So obviously the date is over here on the left. The time of what some sort of event or report is coming out. What the country is. It says currency, and then you see this. Let's dig a little bit. It says impact. Obviously, I think those are like little tips of fires or something like that, isn't it? Yeah, it's like it says high impact expected. That's red, obviously. Yellow is medium, and then orange is or no, I'm sorry, orange is medium, and then yellow is like yawn impact expected. Uh, the good thing about this, let's find the jobs, or you know what, let's find average hourly earnings on Friday. We all know I briefed this in the primary life trade brief this morning and weekly options yesterday that we have the non-farm payroll and the unemployment rate this week. Let's take a look at average hourly earnings. If you see, obviously, we want to look wherever it says U.S. I look at China, CNY. I also look at Japan every once in a while. Their events, if Chinese GDP, remember like a year or two ago, Chinese GDP would come out and would be a beat or miss. And then the next day, our market would open 200-300 points down or up based on the China GDP. Not anymore. But world events can, Mario Draghi, you see EUR, you see like, well, here you go, ECB monetary policy meeting. So Mario Draghi, who's their Janet Yellen, can move markets too. Remember, this is the guy that when was it, man? Oh, man, I feel like I'm on Financial Jeopardy. This is the man who said a couple years ago, what? I will do, this is the exact quote, more or less, I will do whatever it takes to save the euro. Holy crap. Put your rally hats on, folks, and, we're going to the moon based on that. So that moved the markets when it's more or less like I always joke. It's like the Pope coming out and telling Catholics hell doesn't exist. Party on here. So the manila folder looking thing over here, click on it. If you go, what the hell is this thing? I don't know. This is good. Here's the specs. It tells you the source of the report, the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. What's it measure? Blah blah blah. The impact, frequency, and then this is the whiz box that I care about. It says why traders care. I love this box because they know that a lot of us with this other stuff, our eyes glaze over. It's a leading indicator of consumer inflation. When businesses pay more for labor, the higher costs are passed on to who? You and me, you and I. So always look if, like the Conference Board's consumer confidence numbers. If you sit here, wholesale inventories, here we go. Why traders care. It's a signal of future business spending because companies are more likely to purchase goods when they have depleted their inventories. So I love this little manila folder thing because you can sit there and click it open and go, why traders care. And then over here, you can obviously look at the history, like, hey, what was the previous months or what's it look like? And then there's related stories under here as well. Hey, the jobs report, deeper meeting. So they populate potential news releases under here. Now, if you're sitting here going, well, this is great, I don't have time to do any of this, don't worry about it. Remember, half of my mission objective, folks, or 90% of it, that was stupid to say, is to teach you how to fish. I wake up, grab my Starbucks or my cup of coffee, and I do this stuff anyway. I'm just letting you, I got to teach you how to fish as well. Where's a better one that says market impact? Weekly unemployment, Fed Chair Yellen, it tells you where she's speaking, why traders care. And obviously, here's the three columns. When the report comes out to the second, this website will update it. That means actual. The forecast is what the consensus is, economists or whatever, and then the previous. The graph over here all the way in the right column is a little cool as well. Let's take a look at let's go to Friday with the unemployment rate. Or now employment change. Let's click on the little graph here. So look at that. So you can play with the little chart here and say, how's, let's go 2017. How's the employment picture looking? We obviously know, I talked about this today in the PLTB, why this is just a miserable looking number. And it's it was 88,000 this morning, folks. The consensus went down by 6 grand between this morning and me talking to you right now. So we know that Hurricane Irma and Harvey are to blame for this. But again, if Hurricane Irma and Harvey did not impact Silicon Valley jobs, high-paying jobs, it's impacting waiters, waitresses, bartenders, and housekeepers. That's kind of the state of the employment market right now, folks. And again, I don't begrudge any of those roles. I've held most of them except a housekeeper, but that's going to explain this. But always, like I said, the little chart thing over here on the right can show you the trend. Okay. One of the other sites that you should do a drive-by on, or at least you should be following me on, is StockTwits. This really is it's a Twitter. If you don't know what Twitter is, get out of your cave. Here's the trending things up here. So, here's what people are talking about the most and why. So you click on this. There's a lot of good. This is not, and I know what you're thinking. Wiz, I was on Yahoo Finance years ago, and it was a crap shoot, or just, I turned a penny into $1 trillion, and you can too, buy my $30,000 course. I had a marketing intern 2-3 years ago accidentally post, I said, hey, blast out, this webinar on social media. And she posted it on here too. They booted me. I had a ton of followers. I had to beg, and I know Howard Linden, the guy that started this thing. I'm like, dude, he's like, hey man. So there's no crap on here unless you consider me. But no, I mean, there's good links to articles. There's good intel. It's like a live zero hedge. Okay. So if you've never heard of StockTwits, write it down and sign up, create a handle or whatever, and follow me. I'll put the link in there. And guys, make sure when you're asking me questions or talking, select the drop down that says entire audience, unless you just want to talk to me. But we're in here because I want everybody to be able to see. So this is a good site for intel. They boot, like I said, they boot anybody if you turn a penny into $1 trillion, you're gone. All right, here we go. Now this site, ladies and gentlemen, is the Death Star. This is called finviz.com. What's that mean? Financial visualization. Yeah, that's the name of the site. Visualizations. Can you say that, Keely? No, visualizations. Neither can I. Okay. I don't even want to take up too much time with this, but I have to show you this. You have to drive around this on your own. First of all, there's the markets at the top, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow. Here's the symbols from today, broken down by top gainers, stocks with new highs, stocks that are overbought. Unusual volume, usually a symbol of something, upgrades, blah, blah, blah. Now look over here to the right. Top losers, new lows, oversold, most volatile, blah, blah, blah. So right here, if you're sitting here looking for, and look at CLSN was the top trending ticker on what? StockTwits, and it's the top ticker over here. Look at the change, 300% gain today. It's a $6 stock, obviously. But look at this. These two boxes right here are potential areas to get some trade ideas. Now let's scroll down. I'm going to get over to this painting over here in a couple minutes because this is good. Now let me scroll down. Look at these two boxes here. Trendline support, resistance, wedge up, wedge down. How about, Wiz, I'm looking for some iron condor candidates. Well, look at this. Channel, stocks that are currently channeling. Well, Wiz, I'm looking for some bull puts spread candidates. How about stocks that are channeling up? Double bottom, that's usually bullish. Head and shoulders. So, folks, the research is kind of done for you right here. Yes, it's finviz.com. I put the link in the box. It is cool. We'll get to my philosophy here in a little bit. A lot of folks at the stage that you're at, you should be in a maximum of, I'd say 5 is down the fairway, and 10, unless you're doing it full time, 10 positions is that's a lot. I'm doing 15, 20 as a professional, and sometimes I'm like, ooh, okay, let me weed some of these down here. But if you're looking for, some technical indicators, if you're you think what the right side of the chart looks like. Yeah, fish used it for years, exactly. This is a great area. Over here, major news. Amazon had some big news. Tesla, obviously. A Wells Fargo chairman got excoriated by Senator Pocahontas. Google, Apple, blah 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 blah. So there's major news over here. This is kind of a little snapshot of what Forex Factory. News. This is major news. This is regular news. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Here you go. Here's the little Forex Factory. Let me grab my my dancing ball here. 1 second. Nope. I don't have. Where's my pointer? Here it is. So this area, that little hurricane symbol or whatever it is Reuters. There's Market Watch. I'll show you in a second where their news page is. Here's the little Forex Factory area. Today we had truck sales and auto sales. Tells you what the impact is, what month it was for, blah 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 blah. Or no, that was today. Earnings over here. And then look at this, the futures. If you don't want to go to the S&P or the Nasdaq site, look at the futures. Right? How are the futures looking? The S&P futures are what? Well, we're essentially flat. So if you're ever sitting here and saying, "Hey, I wonder what the markets are looking like for tomorrow," you can come to the bottom of FinViz, and there are the futures right here. Now I skipped an area which was right here because I'm going to talk about this in a couple minutes in more detail. This is latest insider trading. And it's funny that they use the two words insider trading because this is the legal insider trading that you know about. Okay? How many shares, and these are for the heavies, executive vice presidents, presidents, CEOs, the chief medical officer. Well, let me talk about it now. Let me scroll up. And what comes first? I'll talk through the top here. Let's go with news. So check this out. Over here, folks, on the left on FinViz is red orb. Here's news. Reuters, Market Watch, CNBC, Bloomberg. You see all the different symbols, CNN. Okay, so this is hard news, allegedly. We all know the news is liberals and they're in the tank. Over here are the blogs. Zero Hedge, folks, is technically, it's a blog. It's an aggregator of news sites, right? They're Seeking Alpha. I forget let me get rid of my little orb here. What's this one? Hello? Oh, Market Realist. That's a newer, I haven't looked at that one lately. Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha is not too bad, but folks, so the blogs are on the right, and technically the news sites are on the left. Uber board votes in favor of blah, Bombardier. This is if you've ever seen a professional trading firm or the movie Wall Street, folks, everybody's seen on every trader's desk, it's called what? A Bloomberg terminal, right? How do you think Michael Bloomberg became the limousine liberal that he is? Every trading firm, every trader has a Bloomberg terminal. Today, the playing field is just about leveled with sites like this. Okay, so this news page, learn it, live it, love it, live on it. Let me go to, where's Insider? Let me skip the screener, folks. Not even going to take a swing at it. This screener right here is the same, if not better, than the stock screeners I used as a professional trader in Chicago. Period. This thing, you could launch a space shuttle from here. So I can't spend the time to go over it. Let me save the maps for last on here before we move on. I want to focus on Insider. I just told you a couple years ago, the Journal had a couple front page articles on insider trading. Mysteriously, the CEO of, health.com, mysteriously 2 days before he announced horrific earnings, sold 100,000 shares and the stock crashed. Guess what? That's illegal. So now technically companies are, they either do blind selling of shares or whatever. But I think the Journal maybe a year ago did another follow-up to those, and mysteriously companies still have CEOs. And they'll say, no, this was part of a pre-planned sale. And then you look in page 93 of the CEO's compensation thing, it says the CEO can waive this and sell whenever he wants. So folks, be very, very careful. But here's, if the CEO, the government tried to do some good work and do what? And said, hey, if you're going to, I forget that, was it a 10Q, folks? Somebody, I forget what it is, but the CEO, the executive vice president, they can't just dump stuff or buy stuff. They have to make a public statement. Okay. Now it's kind of like when I was in real estate. Hey, if you're going to foreclose, you have to make a public statement, and putting it in the one ads of your local newspaper is suffice. And you have to go stand on the county steps. This was in Texas, and you literally have to make a public announcement. And the lady that was teaching the course, like, we'd go and we'd whisper to ourselves, but we said it out loud, and that was legal enough. This is kind of the same thing, folks. Is the CEO of Chia Stanley, or the chief operating officer, is not going to come out and with a press release or have a press conference and go, hey, by the way, I'm selling 100,000 shares. Why, Chia? Because this company sucks. That's just not going to happen. Companies don't operate that way. But the government said, trying to help out retail traders and give us transparency, said, hey, you got to announce it somehow. So this page, I'm not seeing too much. And here's look at the value. I usually come straight over to the value. What's this? 1.2 Cano Kyle of what's NBIX. Oh, the Neurosine Bioscience. Oh my God, I traded NBIX years and years ago. So this guy, the chief business development officer, on September 6th, exercised a bunch of options for about $1.3 million. He sold them. There's the share, or shares. So when the chief business development officer, he could just be, or she, I don't know what Gano Kyle is, they could be ditching shares as what? You know what? I want to move to the Hamptons or get a new house. Or they could be ditching shares for what? Because they see something's wrong. Where's another big money one? Whoa, 12 million. Oh, this is a 10% owner of what? RadNet, Medical Laboratories and Research. Sandy Nylam Kaminsky. $12 million, 5 million shares. Is this 10% owner bailing because she sees something, or he? Could be Sandy, could be a man. I'm not going to spend too much time here, folks, but just know, John and Pete Najarian, my football player buddies, big dudes from Chicago, they follow unusual options activity. If you see some unusual options activity, and then maybe you come in here and see that the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, and the CSO have all bought shares, maybe something bullish is about to happen. Or we're seeing unusual put buying activity, and lo and behold, the CEO, CFO, CSO are all in here selling shares. So as you can see, folks, this ain't necessarily super easy. If you really, really, really want to do this on your own, there's a little bit of detectiveness going on, okay? And again, obviously having a cell phone and a network, to be able to pick up the phone and go, hey, you ever trade this, or the market maker in wherever. All right. Now let's get to it is Fish. It's an awesome tool. Let's go to the maps. The map. So obviously, it was a green day in the market. I often get the question, whether it's from a TGO member or from out on the speaking circuit, how do I know I have a diversified portfolio? Come to FinViz and do a little bit of a drive-by in these major squares. You ready? You can hover over it and see what's going on. You should. This ain't a pretty bad way to do it. This is why I tell people to look at it. Technology. Are you in technology? Are you in the financial sector? The services sector, Disney, Comcast, all that stuff. Look at Amazon. It's got its own category, folks. Catalog and mail order houses. Even though he's probably going to start his own FedEx and drones and everything like that. Consumer goods. Look at Apple. Apple's down here. Apple's not up in technology, guys. Pretty funny. It's down here. Cigarettes. I don't know. Can't believe they have their own sector. Healthcare. basic materials as your ExxonMobil and your rails, your Chevrons. Whoa, stop. That's annoying. Industrial goods, utilities. So this is just staring at this. There's not a lot of red on here, man. That was a good day in the market. Here's another potential way. Here's another potential way to look at a good diversified portfolio. Click on over here on the ETF side. You ready? U.S. sector funds. Here's a good way to whiz. I don't know what the XL something is. Well, the XLV is healthcare. The XLE is energy. So maybe you have a U.S. fund. Obviously, I trade SPX or SPY. Here's sector funds. We know the XLF is the financial sector. We know the XRT is what? The retail sector. Here's the financial. Oh, I told you that. The XLF is down here. Large cap, mid cap, small cap ETFs. Volatility. Hey, the XIV is obviously the inverse of the VIX. Wait a minute, Wiz, I just figured that out. It's XIV instead of VIX. International, emerging markets, fixed income, and then over here you got your global stuff. We talked about Brazil. We've talked about the EWJ maybe being in Japan. We've talked about a lot of potential global mutual funds, right, or ETFs. So this is let me leave it at this, guys. Again, I didn't plan on spending an inordinate amount of time on the site, but I haven't even covered all this other stuff here, folks, which is just incredible. So a lot of you have never heard of this site before. I strongly recommend you do a drive-by of it and dig in here and grab some popcorn, because like I said, if you're just, you obviously see my trade ideas and iron condors and Apple or whatever it is, or you're looking at Brazil, the EWZ, or Japan, the EWJ, but look at this. Whenever somebody says, Wiz, I just, here's a good iron candidate. Look at this. The ProShares S&P Midcap. Resistance, support, and a hell of a lot of volatility in between. And what's cool is when you click on a symbol, check this out, is it comes up with all the stuff, all the recent news on whatever you just clicked on. It's really, really, really good. Save your portfolio, create alert. So really good stuff here, guys. I'm not gonna spend too much time here. So in summary, Zero Hedge, excuse me, free. Wall Street Journal obviously is paid, but you do get access to Barron's. This is a must-do. Forex Factory, StockTwits, and FinViz. Very, very, very good place to start. Folks, I could give you probably at least 10 to 15 other sites that I look at, but then, it's like Macworld and all sorts of other sector specific. I have a bunch of, Brazilian site. When I dig into a trade, I try and find as much as I can and do as much research, and obviously talk to some of my former buddies who are research analysts, either in Chicago or New York, or a couple over in London. But we could get a hell of a lot more tactical looking at all of that stuff, but we're not going to. So let's get back to here. So we know you guys are very, very familiar with my methodology. I'm trying to break you of being a retail trader, focusing on what somebody's saying on the TV and picking our head up above and going out, doing our strategic brief. All the sites that I told you I just looked at, especially the news part of FinViz, the news side and the blog side, great for developing strategic situational essay. At the operational level, Zero Hedge is very, very good about the domestic, and then obviously tactical we do here at the trading. This is kind of how I think about my trading, guys. At the strategic level, we're looking out in time. Man, my eyes are killing me. I've been looking at the computer all day. Trade machine provides back-tested trading tax as well as. Oh, that's awesome, Harry. Never heard of that. CML Viz. CMLviz.com. Let me put that up, and I'll take a look at it, Harry. Appreciate it. And that's another good way to find stuff is to talk to your fellow squadron mates here. So I appreciate that, Harry. CML. All right. Thanks, Harry. I'll take a look at that. But here's how we trade here at TGO, folks, or at least the way I view things is at the strategic level, we do our long call diagonals and synthetic stock. I forget which session coming up will be synthetic long call diagonals and synthetic stock. You're going to love it. If you've never heard the term synthetic stock, that's another training session that's going to change your life and change the way you trade. I got a lot of nice compliments from new Full Throttle members with the long call diagonal with the protective put or a double vertical. I'm here to teach you tactics and to think outside the box. So when we're looking at the strategic level, the time frame on that is about a year to 2 years out. We can do the Jan 20s are starting to come out in the fall here. At the operational level here, folks, we trade the front months, right? Vertical spreads, bear call spreads, bull put spreads, bear, all that stuff, which I'm going to teach you. We do iron condors, and also we're hedging. Somebody asked a good question in the webinar about, hey, Wiz, hypothetically, what would you do with profits on some of my Jan 19s? Whoever asked that, you have to watch. Hopefully you're in here right now. Whoever asked that in the ready room, you have to watch today's replay of the primary live trade brief. We spent an hour and a half with me trying to scare the hell out of people and telling you that I hope to be wrong. I really hope to be wrong with no October surprise. And then obviously our tactical trading here at Top Gun Options, we do our weekly options. And we have tried to put on an Apple Iron Condor, which I'm still trying to give it a shot here. Okay. Markets close on the way. People like that are texting. All right, so we talked. I'm not going to go through this too much because I want to talk about the trade plan specifically and that risk management PDF. Did everybody, hopefully by now I've given you enough time to drive around over there on the right side. Does everybody download those two PDFs? It says RM PDF. That's short for risk management PDF. Because I want to focus the majority of the rest of our time here on this. Everybody got that? So Deb, there should be a materials thing over here. It should say materials. I'm trying to maybe take a screenshot so I can show you. Can I do that? Also check the email. Brian, did you get an email that as soon as I uploaded these or something? I didn't know it did that. Somebody tell me what you guys have over there on the right. Audio. What else do you have? Somebody type down what you guys have over there. Audio and chat. That's it? Audio and chat? Manage materials. Okay. No, it's not a website, guys. See right here. There's two materials I've uploaded. Everybody see this right here? I'm staring at them. There's two PDFs. See this right here, guys? There's a TGO trade plan, attendees, chat, raise hand, and settings. All right, no worries, guys. I'll get you a copy of it. I will. Let me write that down. I'll get my techie to post those. You should have a. Provide access to training materials upon registration, during the training session, after the training session. So guys, you're seeing what I'm seeing right now. Everybody's seeing it. So it ain't me, guys. See, obviously materials for Full Throttle training. I uploaded risk management PDF and TGO trade plan. Who just put that? Everybody click on that in the chat box. Who posted that? Brian, nice job, man. For whatever reason, guy, GoToWebinar is just lighting it on fire with me lately. So good job, man. I appreciate that. Yep. Everybody click on the link that Brian just put in there. For some reason, it's not showing up for everybody. Harry, there you go. You know what, folks? I love having different browsers: Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer 10. So Harry, good catch, man. Uh, it's a Chrome. I think you're supposed to be using Chrome with GoToWebinar. I can't stand that when they force you to use a certain browser. All right, let's get moving. So everybody should have that access to that. That's what I want to spend most of my time on right now. If you're using Chrome, you're still not seeing it enough. Tim, I share your frustration. It sucks, but you should have it right now, right? Everybody got it. Brian has it. Everybody clicked on Brian's link. Good. Here we go. And you can add to your own acronym here, guys. I'm not going to take. You have to watch the replay from today to really get my North Korea spiel. Oil, folks, stabilized. We're actually seeing a good tear of oil here, and isn't it funny how the Democrats and everybody they haul these oil company CEO executives up on Capitol Hill for usually it's once a year. You can set your calendar to it, that they publicly flog these oil company CEOs because my constituents are paying too much at the pump. Hey, shit for brains. You ever hear of the term supply and demand? How come you don't haul them up in front of Capitol Hill when oil was like at 28, smashing $30 and gas was cheap? Well, it's because we're hypocrites. Yeah, exactly. So oil, we'll talk about as we go through this. We obviously know the president. My God, yeah, I mean, the guy is just, it's comical to watch. And I can say comical because it's not like horrific things are happening to this country. I get Las Vegas, man. I get terrorists, I get hurricanes. I mean, horrific, like horrific. Um, we have to get tax reform, folks. I guess that could be my other T with not fear is tax reform. If we don't get tax reform by the end of the year, folks, I strongly think that we might be that might be an excuse for the market to give a little bit of the ghost up. We talked about the Fed all the time, financials. I'm actually going to change this slide. I'm deleting Goldman Sachs. I can't stand them. I'm taking so much heat for some of my buddies who are one or two of which might be members and not in here tonight, so I can talk about them. JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. We talk about Europe, not as often. There's the guy that I told you, his famous quote was what? I will do whatever it takes to save the euro. We still haven't seen whether, the soft exit, the Brexit, the hard exit. And we know this dude on the left won the French election. Probably need to change that slide. Earnings, we're coming up in earnings season. Not an earnings trader. If you're an earnings trader, actually, we have a new vol. Well, I'll brief you on that. But if you want to gamble, go to Vegas. After we mourn, everybody lost. I don't trade earnings, folks. I don't know how many times early in my retail trading career I would be right. I'd nail what the earnings. It was a blowout beat. I nailed it, and you look at the trade, and the stock's down $10. You're like, are you all retarded? No. The stock did exactly what it did, Wiz, and you're the idiot. I don't trade earnings. Asia and then Russia. Let me spend. Here's where I really want to spend some time here, folks, because I know I did this briefly in the Full Throttle training, but here's the slide that I didn't cover because you're paying for it now. This is proprietary, so let's breeze through this as a quick review. And annually, you got your check ride in the F-18 simulator. It's called your NATOPS check, Naval Air Training whatever it was. You had to do your annual check ride. This will be for Full Throttle members. This will be your trade plan annual check ride. So here we go, folks. Still looking at North Korea slide. How about now? Sorry about that. I don't know. Maybe I was looking for all my manuals. I didn't say anything else. Oh, I clicked through. Sorry, folks. That was my fault. That was stupid. So just briefly, just to throw clarity in it, North Korea, oil, Trump, the Fed, financials, hate Morgan or Goldman Sachs, the Brexit, there's Mario, and earnings. Remember, folks, Warren Buffett, if you look up the term limousine liberal in the dictionary, there's Warren Buffett, who was on CNBC this morning with his creepy crush. What's her name? It's weird. Becky Quick, or went to her wedding and all sorts of weird. The dude's weird. But he's got a good point. Is Does this market have higher to go? I really don't think the tax cuts. Remember, folks, if Apple's able to bring $250 quadrillion back from County Cork, Ireland to the United States, hire, acquire, build another, incredible headquarters, it build jobs. This market could have still has room to run if and when these tax cuts get put in. I'm already hearing the Democrats, Chuck Schumer, and it's a tax cut for the rich, and it's just so tired. Kind of like their call for gun control. I'm still waiting for some liberal on Twitter to tell me. I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, I'm not super familiar with Las Vegas metropolitan area laws. I'm pretty sure it was illegal to machine gun people out of a hotel room window. Pretty sure that was illegal, even though it's Vegas. And you know what? Write this down. I'm going to talk about this in accelerated retirement tomorrow. Getting bearish on the casino stocks. Right now, Las Vegas is at 85% hotel capacity. They're usually at this time of the year, they're at 95 to 100% booked. People are canceling like crazy. If you think some retarded white dude can do that, what do you think ISIS is thinking right now? I used to go out in Fort Lauderdale and Miami, guys. Why do I say used to? I'm not doing that shit anymore. I'm not going to go out in some Miami nightclub. They already hit Orlando last year, the Pulse nightclub, mowed down a bunch of people. If you don't think that going to a club in Miami, Vegas, or Fort Lauderdale is stupid, it's going to happen. Why am I don't know why I'm on a tangent of a trade idea, but here's why I'm saying this. I think it was on Fox earlier, one of the reporters is like, hey, we tried to go, we went into a couple other of the major casinos. They're wanding people, like TSA screeners, they're going through bags. Let me say this, and I'm going to say this with the full weight of what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I have no idea on what authority, but let me hit you right between the eyes with this. If they're going to start searching people's bags as they check into a hotel in Vegas, Vegas is over with. I posted this on my personal Facebook page, and I got like 90,000, or one of my buddies' pages. Everybody woke up to that. They're like, holy crap, Wiz, you're right. Last time I went to Vegas, I packed. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Think about this. If you're looking for a potential trade idea, MGM. What's the symbol? MGM. I think Steve Wynn is one of the greatest Americans out there. I used to refuel his jet when I was in high school, when he'd fly into Atlantic City. I would be bearish as hell as you can be on casino stocks. It's kind of like the hurricane thing. We're looking at a jobs report of 82,000 for September. Yeah, Wiz, 2 hurricanes hit America. Oh, I get it. We just had one of the most horrific slaughters in American history, besides 9/11, and they're going to start checking your bag. If I'm going out to the Wynn Hotel and I got to go check my bag, or somebody's going to go through it, Deb, as I was saying this, I don't know. Somebody Google that right now. Deb, great question. Find out an answer. I've never traded a casino ETF, and here's why. I know MGM pretty well. I know Wynn because he's a great American. I know you should only know a handful of casino stocks, or you trade the basket of them. Somebody find out if there's a casino ETF. But yeah, just like Fish said, ladies and gentlemen, if they're going to start, and now if they do start doing this, they have to do the whole, we're not going to look for content, we're just looking for bombs or guns, wink, wink. Even that wink, wink, folks. Do you know that the TSA, technically, if you're going through security and they find a bunch of drugs, they have zero authority to do anything about it. Their mission is supposed to be doing what? Security for terrorist bombs and everything like that. So technically, they're not, you got a gram or a brick of Coke like Tony Montana. Technically, they can't seize that. But what do you think is going to happen in Las Vegas if we start having, Las Vegas Metro cops off duty doing the security? Why am I saying this? There's a potential bearish idea, guys, for the next earnings season is get bearish on the casino stocks. You know what? I looked at it. Did it rebound? MGM, WIM. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, there's oh man, this is, oh boy. BJK. Thank you, Lauren. Very well done. Was it BJK? BJK. The Vanik. I've heard of Vanik. Market Vectors Gaming ETF. Where's the volume? Is this thing trade in size? No. But we didn't see a pullback here after the attacks. So I'm not going to pass. I appreciate that, Lauren. I'm not going to pass you bum gouge. I'd take a look at MGM. Look at this. What do I tell you about these gaps? That's a gap down. Well, Wiz always says if it fills half the gap, it tried to, folks. Look at that. It didn't even fill half the gap. This is bearish as hell, man. I do an at the money bear call spread right here. Now, if you're sitting here going, Wiz, I came here to learn about a bear call spread, I think that's next week or the week, or no, that's next Tuesday. But for my existing Full Throttle members, if you're looking for a trade idea, get bearish on the casinos. They ain't rebounding anytime soon. Well, look at Wynn. This is interesting, man. Steve Wynn. What a great American, too. Did you see that he offered to pay for every funeral of these people? Just a great American, man. Hell of an American. He's the type of American who, when a year or two ago, he gave an interview. He's like, I feel un-American. Near zero interest rates. He's like, I can borrow trillions of dollars. I can lever up and debt. And I'm not going to spend too much. But, folks, this is... I can't, even though I love the guy, putting on my flight suit, I love the guy and I love the Wynn brand. And I just think it's one of the better casino stocks. I got to put on my Gordon Gekko suit and say, I'd get short Wynn too. Ray, well, that's what I'm getting at is if it's holding up, MGM's already gotten pounded into the dirt a little bit. And it's even more, this isn't even a dead dead cat bounce that cat didn't bounce, folks. That landed with a thud. Brian, what's the symbol? BAL or something? No. Bally's. Let me just try and look it up. I don't know what Bally's is, but folks, since Wynn is holding up, folks, I'd almost be even more bearish on this one than there's no way they cannot be impacted. I saw it on Bloomberg. They said that's why you see the congressman, the mayor, the governor saying what? Come to Vegas, it's safe. Does anybody remember what happened after 9/11? Nope, the convention business dried up for a year and a half. The speaking company I was at, Afterburner, almost went out of business. Caesars Entertainment, that's right, Laurie. Fish, I'd absolutely look at that, man. You cannot be bullish on the casinos here. I was just on a briefing call, like I said. A couple things. I was on a briefing call and we were talking about another very, 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 it's a Fortune, I think it's in the Fortune top 25. This company said nothing in Vegas, zero for the next year. So this is almost a 9/11 event for I can't believe I'm talking about a trade idea, but that's also the reason you guys are here. I'm not going to sit here and give you stagnant 50 PowerPoint slides on this is a call, this is a put. One of the reasons I started Top Gun Options, folks, was because I always had these and then what moments. I used to, like you, go out to the airport Marriott in early 1990s and go listen to some dude with a Breitling watch or a Bolex with a suit he got from Hong Kong. This is a call, this is a put. You can make millions. Okay, where do I find good opportunities? Okay, thank you. Good night. Try the veal. Don't forget to buy my $10,000 course. That ain't me. So I stumbled into a potential trade idea just because we were talking about stuff here. But this is, I love you, Mr. Wynn, but I think the stock's going down. John, good question. I've been to Macau. This isn't I can't believe I have to pre-apologize for shit I'm going to say. I'm not. I gave a speech in Macau to Macquarie. Macquarie is the Goldman Sachs of Asia and Australia. So I gave a did a presentation at Macquarie. I always wondered why Asians are standing in Las Vegas on every street corner taking pictures of literally everything. You know why, John? Macau looks exactly to the gum on the sidewalk in the same position. Macau looks exactly like Vegas from it's creepy. And of course, me in a flight suit, I'm the biggest. I'm like Godzilla, man. I'm like 6 foot 1, 2 with my boots on, and people are taking pictures of me and crack me up. But John, no, it's a good point. It's You know what, John? I haven't covered this in our training yet. You ready for this? Here is a potential pairs trade. What's a pairs trade, Wiz? Hey, oil goes up, dollar goes down, or whatever. Market goes down, gold goes up. This is a potential pairs trade, right? If you're long U.S. casino, now most casino stocks, to John's point, have properties in Macau. So maybe this isn't a pairs trade. You know what? I don't know. I don't know how you can just get short U.S. casinos and long Macau. Never mind. We got to get moving. But folks, Fish, I like the way you're thinking here. I'd be looking to get bearish on Win. Or, like I always tell you folks, if you see something in a trend, there's that ain't a dead cat bounce, man. That thing's showing zero life. And I used to trade. Fish, were you here? We used to trade this around 10. No, this was about TGO and yeah, there we go. I used to trade MGM. I used to sell cash secured puts. I'll teach you what that is. Cash secured puts on MGM, because I didn't care if I took delivery of the shares. I'm like, they're not going out of business tomorrow. It's Sin City. I don't know, man. That's going to put a black eye on that city for a while. It's just sad. LVS, there you go. What's that, Las Vegas Sands? Yeah. Oh, that's it. Look at that trading range, 63 to 66 or 65. Ray, I wouldn't say necessarily that this is strong. Well, you know what? Let's press forward, guys, because holy crap, I'm supposed to go for an hour. I want to spend. Let me spend at least 15 minutes on this. Let me keep you about 15 more minutes, guys, because this is what I wanted to cover tonight. Risk management. Oh, here's how we started talking about it, was the damn trade plan. Strategic mindset, bullish, bearish, volatile, or neutral. You guys know today in the PLTB I said what? I am going from the variations down here is cautiously very, or very, very, very. I'm going from being cautiously bullish to market neutral. And I'm getting ready. I was very, very close in the PLTB today to pulling the trigger and saying bearish, because this is getting stupid, man. It's getting very, very, very stupid. But anyway, strategic mindset, we know. Step 2 of our trade plan, it's easy. It's the target, the stock we want to trade, the ETF that we just talked about, or some of the indices, the S&P 500, the volatility index, the Russell, the RUT. So step 2 is where we identify the target. Market neutral, the target we identify. And again, this is and I sent out an email for folks to get a discounted rate to join in here who aren't in Full Throttle. So you might not be in some of my live trading events, but let me just read the disclaimer at the bottom there. I'm not an actual accountant. I'm not a tax attorney. I don't play one on TV. And we had a good debate in the Ready Room over whether or not there's different tax treatment between trading it an ETF and an index. Okay, so again, I can't. How about we just leave it at that, and you can do your own research. And it varies. I'll leave it at this then. It varies between broker to broker. Okay, and to be honest with you, I mean, this is its own 1-hour lecture that I don't do, but we can talk about maybe in Tahoe over a bottle of Camus. Is this? You should be setting up an LLC, or actually, what is an LP? Let's just say that one of the other reasons I really don't care about commissions is it's a business expense. Let me let that sink in. Deb, I will. I'm a Peanut Noir guy as well. I just like the Camus Cab, the 40th anniversary edition. So, folks, there's enough information that you can Google and maybe look up how you can maybe set up a trading LP or LLC, so you can maybe you know, I'll hook you up. Or yeah, Brian. Hey, Brian, if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, since I can't be the guy to say that, post any good intel you have on that issue in the Ready Room. Okay. Step 3. This is the most important part of the trade plan, guys, or one of them, is literally you have to ask yourself. For example, if I'm market neutral, I want to target MGM Grand. Step 2. Step 3, the commit criteria. Why am I committing capital to this trade? I just gave you 3 to 5 sentences a couple minutes ago about why I'd be bearish on the casino stocks. At this time of the year, Vegas is 95 to 100% occupancy. They are at 85 within days after this event. If they are going to start inspecting bags of people checking into hotels in Vegas, Vegas will close. They can't do that. But what do they do in the interim between figuring out they can't do that and making sure people aren't super terrified not to come? They're going to be checking bags. It's going to impact this quarter's earnings. That was a little long for commit criteria, guys, but that's what you need to do. Excuse me. Before you commit any capital to any trade. I call it the cocktail party pitch. If you and I, somebody just posted in the Ready Room, hey, Wiz, I'm out here in San Fran, maybe we can get a drink. That's when you do it. Hey, why are you in this trade? Give me 3 to 5 sentences as to why you're in this trade. And if I don't leave that conversation going, holy crap, why am I not in this trade? You didn't convince me. Okay? This is the top left of our slide right there. Discipline, risk management, superior execution. Anytime your commit criteria change, you know what, Wiz? You're wrong. They're not going to search bags, blah, 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 blah. Get out of the trade. Either adjust it or close it. How many of you have sat there staring at your screen going, God, I can't believe Apple's going down. Well, it's not going to go down forever. Apple loves me. Folks, Apple doesn't care if you exist. You are a tick on the back of Apple. Anytime you have got to become antiseptic about this. Was it Pulp Fiction? Or no, Training Day. I'm surgical with this thing, Jake. You have to become surgical and just say, nope, hey, man, it hit my commit criteria. Those 3 sentences that I came up with, I wrote down in my trade plan, that whiz beat in my head, they're no longer true. Then what do? Do you just sit there and hope? You do the buy, hope, and pray method, or do you adjust or eject? I'm telling you what you should do, right? I always get caught up with the length of time left versus what percentage down. Deb, that's one of those magical. You will and Deb, I know you've been. You should be starting to get around that point on the graph where it's a feeling on the back of your neck, like, hey man, when was it? Like a month or so, like right out of the gate. Literally in weekly options brief, I put on whatever it was, a bull put spread on the S&P 500, SPX, and the market rolled over. People are, it's always the Tuesday. Somebody, Tim or Frank or somebody's always like, the Tuesday morning primary live trade brief is going to be great because, the Monday, it's one day into this trade and people are already, getting ready to jump out the window. We call it what? Lucky strike moments. So Deb, you're right. That is one of those, it's those nuances that I can try and help you out with, but eventually, as the pilot and commander of your portfolio, you have to figure some of those out on your own. But I can certainly provide you guidance. Step 4, the tactic, guys. We know that there's no such thing as an options tactic. There's only, option strategies. Iron condor, cash secured puts, those aren't strategies. Those are tactics. Strategy is wisdom in here. I want to learn about risk management. You're about to learn about it really, really in depth right now. Saving for college, short-term income generation, retirement. Iron condors, cash secured puts, those are tactics. And you just select your tactic based on your strategic mindset and your commit criteria. Okay? Now, you ready for this? Here we are. Everybody got the link that Brian put in the chat box, right? You should have a PDF. You can look at it after. Let me put this eye chart up, and here we go. Everybody strap in. Whew, holy crap, Wiz, what is that? What am I getting, my driver's license? No, well, you're getting your trading license. You ready? At this point in step 4, now you guys have never seen this. Only my commanding officers club folks have seen this. That's my one-on-one coaching students or members, and the people in Miami got this. Now you guys are getting it. So pay attention. Step 4 in the trade plan is when you should incorporate this into your trade process. You ready? Let's think about this intuitively. When I talk about risk, And just full disclaimer here, guys, where'd I get this? We're missing an O right here. Operational risk management. This is from the Navy, folks. ORM, we call it. Hey, did you ORM that mission? That means, did you pull out this chart? Exactly, Joseph. It's called ORM, operational or organizational risk management. But check out what we do here at TGO. When you talk about risk, there's two things that you can talk about. What's the probability of something bad happening? Probability. And what's the severity if it does happen? So the x-axis, or that level, horizontal, is the probability. When we talk about risk is, how likely is something to happen? Then we look at severity. Risk includes severity and probability. Good? Vertical head nod. And this, you're going to have to play with this on your own, folks. It takes a little while. That's why I usually do it in person, because we take a lot of time with it. But I at least want to get this out tonight so you can start thinking about it. And maybe as we go through our full throttle sessions, you can say, hey, Wiz, I got a question on the risk management. Now, over here, you see Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3, and Roman numeral 4. When you're talking about severity, in a trade, there's either a severe loss of capital, a significant loss of capital, a minor loss, and a minimal loss. Okay? Now, I want you to print that. This is why I uploaded the PDF so you can print this out, because here's what I want you to do. You need to put money in here. What would be a severe loss of capital to you? So, Brian, exactly. I'm doing the Eeyore right now. When I talk about risk, I'm talking about potential bad happening. You can do the exact opposite, Brian. I love the way you said that, man. Hey, Wiz, I'm taking the other side of that trade. I'm going to be positive about this. Good man. So, folks, what have I told you? I've introduced you to my SOP over the years, or if you're brand new, here's my SOP. Based on a $100,000 model portfolio, I don't want to risk more than 5% of that model portfolio on any one trade. Why? Because I've been doing this for nearly a quarter century, and that's for me. Based on a chunk of change of 100 grand, if I lose 5, that's going to suck, but it's also, I'm not broke. Some people, when they're in a trade, I go up to them and say, well, what's your max risk? How much can you lose? They look at me like, first of all, why are you being rude? Because I'm not going to lose on this trade. And then I look at them with the reverse rude, like, what are you, retarded? So I would personally, Yo Soy Wiz, would put 5 in here. A significant would be about 4. A minor would be 2,500, and minimal is $1,000. Okay? 5, 4, 25, 1. Play with it on your own. Wiz, I got a $50,000 model portfolio. Maybe you don't want to risk more than 2.5%, or maybe you do want to risk 5 of that. I don't know. I can't give you individual investment advice. There's hundreds and hundreds of members. An RIA, folks, a registered investment advisor, a certified financial analyst, a broker dealer, they can sit you down. They'll make you pay for lunch, by the way. And they'll ask, hey, what's your risk tolerance? How much do you have? Blah, blah, blah. What's your time horizon? That's why they have all those fancy letters. Me, I'm standing in the town square. I'm the village crier, the village idiot. If you want to listen, great. If not, go on your way. So this is, Brian, absolutely, Brian. You could put a percentage in here. 5, 3, 2.5, 1. Exactly. So you could put either dollar amounts in here or percentage amounts of your overall portfolio. We good? Any questions on the severity side? Makes sense, doesn't it? Now, over here on the probability, when you talk about risk and something happening, it's either likely to happen, it's probable, it may happen, or it's unlikely to happen. Okay, likely, probable, may, unlikely. And here's what's really cool. And I know some, either former military folks or DOD or government-wide folks are in here going, shit, yeah. If you haven't seen this before, folks, like I say, when I'm giving a keynote or talking about investing to people, and they'll say, "Hey, Wiz, I'm in this Apple trade," and I'll look at them and say, "Great. First of all, what's your commit criteria?" I always love to test that, and they look at me like, "Ah, crap." Or I'll say, "How much risk? How risky is your trade?" Um, kind of. After tonight, or after you start using this for little folks, you can actually assign a number. My red dot's going to go away here. You can assign a number, nice little arrow. I'll stick with the spotlight. Now you can answer me when I say, hey, hey, Fish, how risky is that trade? You can go, hey, Wiz, that's a 4. You can actually quantify, you can put a number to how risky your trades are. So I have $5,000 in this box right here. I put on a bull put spread on Apple. I know that Apple, for example, has earnings coming up. And you know what? It is probable, I'm trying to circle this one, and you can't see the red dot, folks. It's probable that they might miss on earnings and this trade go down or whatever it is. These colors that I'm using here, folks, are and this is my chart. Up to the upper left of this eye chart is bad. Okay. Hey, it's likely or probable that I could lose my everything in this trade, the $5,000. Okay. Now the bottom right is what? Pretty conservative trades. But obviously, folks, the top left of this chart is what? Profit, man. But you're hanging it out there, aren't you? How about these? They're very, very conservative, Wiz, and you're not making that much scratch. Now, I'd venture to say that the majority of people in this room, again, not giving you personal investment advice, your trades should most likely resound in the 2 and 3 area. Hey, something X, Y, and Z may happen with this spread, with this Apple spread, and if it does, I'm only going to lose a little bit. So I'm going to call that a 4. Something may happen with Apple, and I might lose, $2,500. That's a 4. Now, again, guys, man, I didn't want to go over that much, but here, it's a lot to digest. I want you to print out the PDF that Brian did a good job, and I want you to print it out. And I want you to, kind of like I do when I challenge you to go to and look at every trade and see if you can come up with commit criteria. If you can stare at every trade in your portfolio and go, this is why I'm risking $5,000 in this trade. Boom, 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 3 sentences. You're doing good. Now I'm going to challenge you to do your homework and do the same process, but with this chart. I want you to put dollar amounts in here, or as Brian said, hey, I could put percentages in here. Could delta be used? Delta is absolutely, Brian. Technically, delta is a percentage, right? So yeah, I've never looked at it that way. I'd like to, you know what? I might look into that. Brian, I'll tell you what. Why don't you chew on this, man? And Thursday night, let's have a little bit when we kick off Thursday night session. Let's have a little discussion about this and see how people interpreted it. So maybe you could use delta. So hedges are in D1 and D2. That's not a bad idea. D1 and D2. That's where you could probably put what? Yeah, Joe, maybe what? Your hedges. Yeah. So again, folks, I'm not going to sit here and I can't keep talking through this because I already know that I can feel some people's brains hurting. You get it, but you need to chew on it. And how do I know this? Because every time I give this presentation in person, first of all, it's usually just an hour on this chart, and people usually have to go, hey, can we take a break? And my brain hurts. So I teach it or used to. Oh, there you go. Joe he's our Yuri, man, so he knows exactly where I'm coming. Sounds like he's most likely an expert on employing this chart. So Joe, actually, I'd love to hear your feedback as well and see how maybe you potentially apply it to your trading as well. My brain has been hurting for over a year now. Tim, I know that about you. I have to do, for proposals. Oh, that's pretty cool. The right requirement. might take a look at that. So, all right, folks. So after you do this and you say, you know what, Wiz, this trade is, you have to understand that if you're doing a one, this is one of those, you're clinching a cigar in your mouth. You're opening the canopy and the white scarf's going out like, all right, man, it's a kamikaze mission. I'm either going to hit the ship or I'm flying into the water. So now you have nobody to blame for yourself. So you know what, Wiz, I knew this was a one, and I signed for the jet. You know what, Wiz, I'm not making a shit pot of money here, but I know that these are all fours and fives. Madeline, hey, Brian, can you do me a favor and scroll up, or somebody scroll up and grab Brian's link to the PDFs that are in here? I think when you log out, guys, when I end the webinar, it'll pop up and you can download them there too. But there it is. Thanks. Awesome. Okay, so folks, after step 4, when you pick the tactic, this is when you should do your risk management. Okay, why do I do it right here? Because why would you go on to step 5 and talk about the trade details and how to leg into something or any of that? Why would if you end up on this page going, holy crap, that trade Wiz put out's a 1 and a 2. I ain't a 1 and a 2 trader. I'm a 3 and a 4. Hopefully a lot of light bulbs just went on, folks. I haven't done this in a long time, covered this chart. I should do it in options. Well, now I'm going to do it in both. Listen to me, folks. You should be able to pull this out anytime I talk about a trade and go, hey, man, I'm a 2 and a 3er, and this is a 1. I'm going to sit on my hands. So for the first time, you are able to put a number to how risky your trades are on a scale of 1 to 5. Isn't that cool? So I'm not even going to waste your time. If this trade's a 1 and you're sitting there in a webinar, go get a cup of coffee, man, because let's not even go into step 5 if this trade isn't for you. Or if it is for you, we do step 5. That's tactical employment, right? How we're going to leg into it. I talked Monday in depth. Hopefully you're in the weekly option service. We legged into an iron condor on Apple for the week that I think that's going pretty good down the fairway. Now we look at step 6, our mid-course guidance. This is just our trade management. Hey, we ask what if. What if this trade has a rip your face off rally? It's a bull put spread. We're looking great. When are we going to get out of it? Or more to the point, what if this thing's a crappy trade? 2 weeks ago in Full Throttle, I put on an Apple bull put spread and the fangs implode right on cue. When am I going to potentially adjust this trade? Now, I covered this in the Full Throttle training. I'm going to cover it again real quick. This Navy flight manual over here. Literally, you open this page. That's not it right there. It's on the first page. So this is the cover of the NATOPS flight manual for the FA-18 Hornet A through D. The first page of every one of these manuals says nothing in this manual. What's section whatever? Emergency procedures. Section 5. You see this right here? Normal procedures, flight characteristics, emergency procedures. Nothing in this manual takes the place of good head work and judgment by whom? The pilot in command. You. So, what's that saying? This manual is full of great stuff. When the F-18 came off the flight line in 82, 84? In St. Louis, Missouri, the emergency procedure section, I think, was like 2 or 3 pages. I talked to one of the engineers. He's like, yeah, we sit in a room with our pocket protectors and slide rules and go, hey, what could go wrong with this airplane? And we came up with some random stuff. Today, at the last check, I think the F-18 flight manual emergency procedure section is over 100 pages. Why? We don't like to say. We say that it's written in blood. Okay, so somebody usually does something stupid or goes, hey, I can't believe the jet did that. It did. Add another page of the emergency procedures and do this. So if you decide to deviate from your adjust and eject criteria, you better have a good freaking reason. Commanding officer always used to tell us that. Every new skipper would almost give you the same speech. I support, you guys don't have these gold wings on your chest because you're idiots. I support whatever you're going to do. If you deviate from my rules or the Navy's rules, you better have a damn good reason. Okay? So, um, exactly. Flight leads had so many pages. Only crappy flight leads, Brian. Um, so why am I saying this? Because I didn't do a good job during the full throttle week when I opened the squadron doors. When I say, well, you guys who are new to Top Gun Options, you've seen me send out text alerts, and as I type it, I say what? I would look to potentially adjust this trade if it hits this price, or I'd potentially eject from this trade if it hits this price. Why? To Deb's point, was sometimes the time left to expiration and how much I've lost. It's a gray area for me. Exactly. Sometimes I put a trade on, and within 3 seconds of me pressing send, the trade's moving against me. Do I freak the hell out? No. Someday, I think it was during the full throttle week. It was a bad. This is a bad example because Apple just kept falling. But I, somebody, one of my old techies did this. I think it was like 60% of the time, or 65, whatever it was. I rounded down to 60. That I flew through my adjust or eject. The trades ended up profitable. That might sound good because, as you know, 60% of the time is the professional trader win rate, but my overall win rate is 74%. 74%. So that ain't good. So again, let me close the let me close the loop on this. Is if you're going to fly through the adjust or eject, have a good reason. Okay. Let me scroll up here. The trick is plotting the trade on the chart, not setting the numbers. Yes, exactly. Okay, and then the final, folks, guys, I like to call this the Colin Powell step, right? Before he even let George Bush order him to send risk one body in Kuwait, and with the whole Persian Gulf War, he said, "When are we declaring victory? Tell me right now, so when we hit it, we leave." Everybody remember all the liberals Democrats who came out of the woodwork as we're just slaughtering dudes leaving Kuwait it was called out of Basra, the highway of death. Let's just go to Baghdad and win. I'm like, okay, now all you guys are beating war drums. Bush and Powell said what? No. We have this Arabic coalition together that if we start doing this and going to Baghdad, they're going to go, aha, we knew it. You guys were full of shit, and now we hate you. So we don't do that now in the military. Before we go into any mission, this is what he learned as a young officer in Vietnam. It's like, hey man, I don't want any Vietnam trades. When am I getting out of this trade? Ladies and gentlemen, before you squeeze the trigger on any real capital in any trade, know when you're going to get out. For max profit or what? Minimum loss. How many of you don't have to answer me because I ask you this often, how many of you have been in a credit spread on a Wednesday, it expires Friday, and you're like, there's $400 left in this trade. I got $1,600 in the pocket already. I'm just going to let it expire worthless. And you let a 80% winning trade turn into a 100% losing trade. I'm rubbing my eyes because I can remember 15, 20 years ago as a retail trader going, you are an idiot. So don't let it happen. We've all done it. I've done it, folks. I'm not only a Hair Club for Men member, I'm also the president. I'm an idiot. But then again, folks, look at the last bullet point. That's how we learn. If you do it again and again and again, you deserve to be broke. I hope you do because you're an idiot. And I mean that with the full force of me being you saying you're an idiot. How many times do you have to know the stove is hot and you burn your hand to stop touching the stove? So if you hit your max acceptable profit point, get out. What's my rule of thumb? If on a credit spread, I'm seeing a 6, 7, or 8, if you're seeing a 9, get out. Come on now. Pigs get slaughtered. If I'm seeing a 6, 7, or 8, meaning a 60, 70, 80% gain, I don't care if it's in a day, especially if it's a day. The hair on the back of my neck stands up and says, Wiz, you should probably get out. Okay? So to the downside, you have to come up with your own. I tend to eject in a credit spread at double the credit that I took in. If I sell a bull put spread for $1, I want that damn dollar, folks. I want it in my pocket. If the trade goes up in value to $1.50, $1.75, that's when I take off my oxygen mask and I scratch my chin and I go, why is S&P 500 going against me here? Should I adjust it? Sometimes the adjust level in a trade can be your eject. Don't sit there for an extra quarter and go, I know that's my adjust, I'm staying with it. And now it's at your eject. Sometimes your adjust and eject point can be the same damn thing. It depends on the velocity of the move, right? A lot of things. That's why it's very hard in an academic setting. That's why I hate teaching off PowerPoint slides, is because we have to do this live in the market and see the dynamics. Wiz, you said you'd adjust the trade if it hit this point. It hit this point because X, Y, and Z happened. That's over today. It's over right now, and the stock's already, rebounding. Don't fall victim to what I will say tongue-in-cheek as premature ejection, okay? However, first of all, nobody's ever gone broke taking a profit. You guys know that. So let's write that wisdom down right there. But you cannot make a lot of money if you're bailing out of things at the first bullet shot at you by the enemy. It does take a little bit of discipline. However, if you do what the top left of the side says, if you are disciplined and you manage your risk, especially by giving it a value, like I just taught you, you're going to see some superior execution. Okay? Let me read some of these. Yep. What was it like in the past 2 weeks? Trade exactly. Bizarro Wiz. Exactly, Kevin. You got it, man. And you live to survive to the next trade, Brian. That's exactly right. We talk about this guy. That's what we want to be, folks, is we want to live to fight another day, whether it's for max profit or min loss. Obviously, we want to hit our max profit and smile and go all the way to the bank. Holy crap, man. I'm not, folks, these are supposed to be hour sessions-ish. My apologies for going that long, but I definitely wanted to cover that risk management PDF. So your homework, folks, by Thursday, because I want to lead with maybe a 10 to 15 minute discussion on that PDF, see if you can rate your trades. Because usually when we did this in Miami, and we'll do it maybe in Lake Tahoe, is people are usually shocked at how risky their trades are, and they didn't know it. Until I gave them this process, and again, as Joe and I are winking and nodding at each other, this ain't rocket surgery, folks. I copied and pasted it from an organization that has to manage risk, or I wouldn't have died. How'd this guy manage risk? He knew that if during this air demonstration at low airspeed, low altitude, his engine failed, he got out. That's what we have to do. So again, I give total props to the United States Navy and their ORM. That ain't something Wiz came up with. I am not that smart. Okay. We should use this when. Kevin, I don't. I do it on my own. The reason I don't, Kevin, is because it would take about an extra 30 minutes to an hour to do this live in a live trade brief, because there's 47 people in here. So Kevin, with the hundreds of members in there, the reason I don't do it is exactly that. Years ago, I try and do this as part of every trade, and it became an absolute I'd be lucky to get a trade out during the webinar, Kevin. So that's why I'm giving it to my commanding officers club, which are just my one-on-one coaching clients, and to you guys now. Okay, so Kevin, you should be doing this on the other end of the computer. Okay, other end of the computer as we're placing trades. You guys need to be doing it. Okay. I appreciate that, Fish. Yeah, now you guys know I like being disciplined and being on time, but I think we needed to cover a lot of that ground tonight so we can get into calls and puts and everything on Thursday night. Okay? So, all right, guys, I will get this replay rendered. I will get it posted on the webpage on the Full Throttle. When you go on the Full Throttle, drop down and click on it. This is where all the replays will be. Okay? You bet, Kevin. Yeah, exactly. Fish has been here for years, and Fish tells me often that, hey man, I picked up something again tonight. Like I said, I had nearly 3,000 hours in the F-18. I learned something on every flight. Okay, and I always use my checklist, or that's when we got kids. So make sure got killed. So make sure you watch the replay if you missed anything, and everybody's got this. Okay. Yeah, you got it, Andreas. I mean, yeah, that's why I do it at night, is so time's not an issue. I just know that some people either, put kids to bed or anything like that, and I hate going late and taking up people's time. You bet, folks. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless, and I'll see many of you guys tomorrow during the accelerated retirement at 1 if you're in that. Okay? We'll see you, folks.